Not knowing your rights during a police encounter could put you in a tough situation. I'm Leanne Schinkel, and straight ahead, I'll tell you how to protect yourself.
I'm Kylie Rice, and coming up on WVU News, I'll tell you how natural disaster victims are flooding to social media in efforts to receive help.
I'm Kendall Lewis, and coming up next, I'll tell you what kind of changes to expect as the Sunnyside Up project enters Phase 3. Our Emmy Award-winning WVU News starts now.
You just got arrested or pulled over. Now what? Knowing your rights can mean the difference between walking away or finding yourself in a difficult situation. I'm Patrick Clark.
And I'm Kendall Lewis. The price at the pump has gone up, and the recent hurricanes are to blame. Is relief in sight? We'll have that report.
These stories and more on WVU News, an Emmy Award-winning newscast produced by television journalism students right here at West Virginia University.
According to the Bureau of Justice survey, 9 out of 10 times police officers follow proper procedures.
But how do you make sure your rights are always protected? Crime reporter Leanne Schinkel joins us now with more. Leanne?
Thanks, Patrick. It's been making national headlines for the past few years. What to do if you're stopped by a police officer. It can be a terrifying situation. A police officer approaches you. What's next? Would you know your rights? Officials say it is important to stay calm. Do not run away, and if possible, cooperate with police. But remember, you also have the right to remain silent. At the start of this year, Morgantown police responded to over 2,000 calls. There were also over 300 criminal citations reported, including disorderly conduct, underage drinking, and public intoxication. Westover Police Chief Rick Panico says police are often empowered by the lack of citizens knowing their rights.
Opening that bag, giving them an ID. These are things that you're guaranteed to protect under your civil rights. At the same time, if the police officer had enough to arrest you, he wouldn't have to ask you for these things.
If you're walking out of a bar and a police wants to look inside your bag, you have the right to say no. It's your right because it's your property. WVU student Josue Rodriguez had his own encounter following the return of the school year. His police run-in left him with 2 charges of public intoxication and resisting arrest.
If I would have known my rights, I definitely would have had less charges that I have now.
They're not going to do anything stupid on video. Although we see them do stupid stuff on video, for the most part, you're going to find police officers going, okay, she got me. Nothing I can do tonight. Go home.
If you want to know more about your rights in West Virginia or in other states, you can visit flexyourrights.org at the bottom of your screen. You can also download a Know Your Rights card like this one directly to your phone. This card can protect you if the police stop you for questioning. Patrick, back to you.
Thanks, Leanne. You need to also know your rights if you are one of the thousands of dreamers or young unauthorized immigrants who have received deportation relief through DACA. The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals provides amnesty to undocumented immigrants who came to America as children. Trump is saying he wants to end this program. This news, however, has been met with resistance. Noelle Ford joins us now from Studio B at the Media Innovation Center to tell us more. Noelle?
Thanks, Patrick. At least 1 million undocumented children were eligible for DACA just last year. And these children, or dreamers as they're called, aren't alone in their fight to keep DACA alive. Politico reports that 8 out of 10 American voters support this program.
I have a great heart for the folks we're talking
President Donald Trump announced on September 5th that he would be ending the DACA program. Since 2012, DACA has given those brought here as children the right to live and work in the U.S.
Yeah, I think that's a terrible thing to do to people. I would feel outraged. And I think all people should feel like that, even if you're not like directly affected by that.
I feel sorry for people who is like in DACA right now. I don't think it's fair for them, and I mean, I feel sorry for them.
About 117 people are living under DACA in West Virginia. Nationally, this number increases to 800,000. For some people, this is the only place they've ever called home.
The WVU College of Law is now offering legal services to any student in DACA. Director of the Immigration Clinic, Allison Peck, wants students to know that WVU is here to help.
we felt it was really important to have resources available for students or other members of the community who may be in DACA and might really be concerned about how something might affect them.
The services that the College of Law provides are free. They also urge students to remember the October 5th deadline for DACA renewal. More information about how to access these services can be found at the bottom of your screen.
And experts say that the termination of DACA could result in the loss of billions of dollars. According to the American Center for Progress, if DACA were to be shut down by President Trump, nearly $460 billion could be lost over the next decade. Now back to you at the Waterfront Studio.
Thanks, Noelle. Major changes are happening right here at home. Sunnyside is getting a facelift, a $75 million one to be exact. The project will soon enter the third phase of the renovations. I hit the streets to find out more.
The Campus Neighborhood Revitalization Corporation, or CRNC, is a nonprofit that was developed to assist building safe environments, improve living conditions, and prevent future deterioration in neighborhoods.
Not just an urban community, but an urbane community that is a community that you would expect when you have mixed residential.
Sunnyside Up is a project with the goal of transforming dilapidated buildings and roads into a residential area full of retirees, families, students, and young professionals. Leighton Peranzano has been a resident of Sunnyside for 3 years and feels that the renovations may benefit her in ways that she did not expect.
With all the renovations that we're having, it's really increasing the property value, so if I do choose to sell, I can probably get more than what I actually paid for when I moved in. With the sheets and all the university properties being here, it's just making this neighborhood better.
Perenzio's feelings about the positive side of this project do not stand alone. A neighborhood that undergoes renovations like these drive up the homeowners' prices. That means when this project is finished in 2027, every homeowner on this street can expect to sell their house for a lot more.
It's not just the neighborhood that's getting a facelift, it's also the roads, starting with alternative routes.
If you're coming down University Avenue, you can turn left, you can turn right, you can go straight ahead. As it was, all you could do was go straight ahead. You couldn't turn right, you couldn't turn left.
Scafella says that once these routes are completed, the third and final phase will go into effect, demolishing brownfields and potentially the power plant. These changes will be completed in the next decade.
Rebuilding has only just begun in parts of Texas and Florida following Hurricane Harvey and Irma, and social media is stepping in to help. Facebook has pledged $1 million to hurricane victims.
That's right, Kendall, but that's not the only way social media is stepping up. Kylie Rice joins us now from Social Square to discuss the social media has become a tool for those in need, both during and after a disaster. Kylie?
Thanks, Patrick and Kendall. 50 counties flooded, 30,000 people in shelters, almost 60,000 911 calls in all in just 15 hours. These are some of the staggering numbers that caused Hurricane Harvey victims to turn to social media for help. So what are the ways that social media has become the ultimate tool in a disaster? I decided to find out.
With reports calling Twitter the new 911, victims of Hurricanes Irma and Harvey used this to their advantage, tweeting out for help as floodwaters rose. Tweets sent out with hashtags SOS Houston, Houston Rescue, and SOS Irma were used to signal help in life-threatening situations.
These natural disasters, I believe people were told, after a certain time, we can't help you. We're shutting out and we're pulling out as well. But interestingly enough, when it comes to social media and network technologies, oftentimes people's cell phones are still working.
With emergency responses being overwhelmed during these disasters, officials took to social media to help crowdsource, monitoring tweets asking for rescue and replying to let victims know that help is on the way.
We like to sort of make fun of social media or talk about how it's ruining us and it's distracting us, but it's easy to say that when you're not facing death. And when you're facing a hurricane or an earthquake or a disaster or a war, all of a sudden, being able to reach people and being able to tell them you're okay is really, really powerful.
With over 75% of Americans owning a smartphone, there are many ways to let friends and family know you're safe, like checking in on Facebook. While on the page, you can see posts from other victims, check affected cities, and even begin to donate to relief funds.
I think that for me, it's been more that we're paying more attention to it because it is here and it's closer to us, where before you hear about hurricanes in these other countries and we don't pay as much attention to it until it hits closer to home.
With almost 30,000 homes destroyed from Hurricane Harvey alone, victims are now asking social media to help them rebuild.
If you're looking to donate to the victims of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma, you can research the best charities to give and make sure you're not being scammed. You can verify which charities are reputable by visiting the website at the bottom of your screen.
Thanks, Kylie, for that report. Tropical Storm Harvey is hitting home at the pumps.
Yes, Kendall, gas prices have risen at least 15% since Hurricane Harvey, and AAA says there's no end in sight. Motorists are finding that the average price of a gallon of gasoline is 20 cents more than it was just a month ago. It's been its highest in 2 years. The reason? Hurricane Harvey is forcing gasoline refineries along the Texas Gulf Coast to shut down. About a third of the nation's refineries are located in the Gulf Coast region, and experts say that the price of gas is expected to rise by as much as $1 per gallon in the wake of Harvey.
The combined damage caused by Hurricane Harvey and Irma could reach $300 billion in damages, Patrick. And some of our own athletes have families that were victims of these storms.
Coming up, sports reporter Ryan Decker explains how these athletes are coping with the disaster hundreds of miles away.
I'm Ryan Decker, and coming up on WVU News, I'll tell you how Hurricane Harvey is impacting athletes and coaches here at West Virginia University.
For me, it all started with a question. Why? It drove me to look deeper, try harder, think bigger. No way? Yes way. I took that question to a place where the possibilities are endless. It all started with a little question, a little why, and a little why not.
Hurricane Harvey not only dominated news headlines, but made its way into the sports world as well.
That's right, Patrick. Sports anchor Isaac Farabee joins us now for more. Isaac?
Thanks, Kendall. Imagine this. You're here trying to focus on school and playing your sport, and your family is hundreds of miles away, being evacuated and trying to survive the storms. West Virginia University athletes and coaches are from all over the United States, and that includes Texas and Florida. When Hurricane Harvey hit the Houston area on August 25th, millions of Americans were impacted. And here at home, some WVU athletes were struggling, hoping their loved ones were safe in the wake of Mother Nature.
Just having lived through several hurricanes while I was there, knowing that a Category 4 heading for Houston was going to be trouble.
Hurricane Harvey is one of the worst storms that's ever hit the southern United States, dropping over 50 inches of rain in parts of southeast Texas. Meanwhile, over 1,100 miles away here in Morgantown, WVU men's soccer player and Houston native Louis Thomas could only hope for the best.
Just seeing the pictures and knowing the damage and how extensive it is, it's been tough just to sit around and kind of watch.
Louis lucked out. His family's house didn't suffer any flooding. Other families weren't so lucky.
You know, literally the whole inside of people's homes are outside.
Both Carrier and his wife Alicia are from Texas. These are pictures of their home in Houston, and you can see laying water throughout the house. Communicating back home was tough.
Throughout the week, you don't get phone calls. You're trying to call people, but you know, who knows, power out or a tower's down, so you just, all you can do is worry.
Thankfully, everyone in Carrier's family is safe and accounted for, and some of his family was able to come up to Morgantown for WVU's game against East Carolina. Being very familiar with the Houston area prompted WVU men's soccer head coach Marlon LeBlanc to pledge money for Hurricane Harvey relief based on the attendance in these stands right here at Dick DeLess Soccer Stadium of the Mountaineers game against Wright State. The Mountaineer Maniacs agreed to match his pledge.
I didn't really think twice about it, really, you know. They're part of our family.
I'm very grateful that he was generous enough to do that on behalf of our program.
As you might expect, Louis said playing in that game was an honor. Ryan Decker, WVU Sports, Morgantown.
Equipment managers at the WVU Coliseum are collecting gear from all sports to send to the University of Houston. The university will then take that sports equipment to local colleges and high schools as a part of the recovery effort. Kendall, Patrick, back to you.
Thanks, Isaac. It's great to see our community pulling together to help those victims of Hurricane Harvey. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of WVU News. You can visit us online on our website.
You can also watch our shows on YouTube, and please follow us and our reporters on Twitter. I'm Kendall Lewis.
And I'm Patrick Clark. Thanks for watching. You can visit us next time.